Good morning, everyone. Um, Thank you for joining me live if you're live. If not watching the replay, I appreciate that. And I'd like to thank Jess for creating this amazing platform for the women entrepreneurs and for those of us who have spoken so far. I think you ladies are amazing. And I'm honored to be here with such great women speaking about their experience, their expertise, their knowledge. I'm very blessed. My name is Eliza Agudelo, and I am a certified transformational life coach, holistic nutrition coach, and mentor. Today, I am going to talk to all of you about emotional resilience for a new era, how to rise through trauma, rebuild your power, and lead with purpose. So, a little background about me. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little cough. My work is rooted in something deeply personal, my own journey through grief and trauma, and rebuilding myself from the inside out. Today, I want to share what emotional resilience really looks like, how trauma shapes our lives and businesses, and how you can begin rewriting your own story. For me, my emotional resilience journey started the night my world shattered, really. It was July 9th, 3:25 a.m., and my mom took her last breath. And just like that, she was gone. And I was not able to be with her, and that was devastating for me. I felt numb, disconnected, and I tried to push through grief like if it was a checklist. I've never experienced such grief, and I even looked up the stages of grief again to recap, see where I was. But I'm sure a lot of you know, and as I know now, grief doesn't work like that. Healing began when I finally allowed myself to feel, to stop running, to stop judging my pain, and to sit with that hurt. The moment became the beginning of everything I teach today. Well, yeah, hidden moment, really. It was a year's journey, but that was the beginning of my future. Now, what is emotional resilience really? Well, emotional resilience is not about being unshakable and everything is great and nothing affects you, right? It's about being able to adapt, adjusting to challenges without ever lose, well, not ever, excuse me, without losing yourself, right? Emotional regulation, responding to situations and people instead of reacting. It's a big one that I've had issues with before myself. Self awareness, being able to understand ourselves inside. What what feels like a trigger to you? What feels like something that you need to address and be aware of your thoughts and your emotions and all that going on inside. A grounded outlook, staying centered when life throws you curveballs, right? Being able to bring yourself back after something happens. Healthy boundaries, being able to protect your energy and emotional space. Now, I know for me, my personal experience growing up in a Latina household, I didn't even know what boundaries were. So that was something I had to learn myself. Excuse me. So, also, nervous system stability, being able to return to safety after that stress is important. We can't live in a stress, fight or flight our whole lives. That dysregulates it, that messes up, that creates illnesses, a lot of other things. Think of emotional resilience like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. And we know that trauma shapes us, right? It doesn't disappear just because something that happened to you 10 years ago, you haven't looked at it, you haven't bothered with it. It's like, okay, whatever, it's just there. It's going to show up and we might not be aware of it. So it shows up in our relationships, in our confidence level, in the boundaries that we don't put up, even for ourselves, risk taking, even in our business decisions. Unprocessed trauma becomes the lens we see the world through. But again, it does not have to define who we are, right? So now, when we talk about trauma, it's important to understand that it doesn't all look the same. There are different types of trauma, and each one shapes us in its own way. Some of it comes from what we personally lived through, and some of it is inherited, passed down through our families, our culture, and the environments we grew up in. To understand emotional resilience, we have to understand both. Now, my mother carried wounds I didn't understand as a kid at all. She worked from the age of 4, lost her mother very young, and became a caretaker herself before she was even a full adult. Love for her meant survival, meant necessities, not softness. She didn't have the space to rest, to cry, or be held. So she learned to push through everything alone. I grew up inside that energy. I learned to stay quiet, to be strong, to never need too much. I absorbed her survival patterns, the emotional distance, the self-sacrifice, the belief that feelings were a burden or shouldn't really be shared. It took me years after becoming an adult to see the full picture. I hadn't just inherited her amazing strength, I had inherited her unhealed wounds too. So for me, breaking that cycle became part of my purpose. Healing myself meant healing the generations before me and the ones who will come after. Now, beyond generational trauma, there's also the trauma we personally live through, and that comes in different forms. Some trauma is subtle and accumulates over time, and some trauma is life altering in a single moment. There are two types, and that's the little t trauma, the quieter wounds, right? The ones with that include emotional neglect, feeling unseen, constant comparison, chronic stress, being dismissed or minimized. Then we have the big T trauma, the major events that shake our sense of safety. So things like loss and accidents, abuse, sudden life changes, right? And both are valid. Okay, both are valid, both impact the nervous system, both affect us profoundly in who we become as people, as women, and they shape how we show up in our relationships, our confidence level, and even in our businesses. I personally have experienced both in my life, and I'm sure a lot of you women out there have as well. And one of another big T trauma that I've carried for years is something I want to speak on gently. Now, before I do, I just want to let you know that it does touch on a sensitive topic that may be triggering for some of you. So, if you need to take a deep breath, ground yourself, or even just step away for a moment or mute it if you need to. It's not a long section, but so that you don't feel triggered in any way. But when I was 9 years old, I was molested by my father. Coincidentally, the same year that I got hit by a bus. So, two big traumas. But the one I'm mentioning, the first one, that shaped how I saw men, authority figures, and even my own safety. It made me very guarded as an adult, disconnected, and constantly on alert. But that trauma did not define me. Healing obviously was not straightforward, but I rebuilt my sense of safety and trust and self worth. I no longer blamed myself as if I did something wrong. Every step forward was a reclaiming of myself. And then there's what we call little t trauma, the quieter wounds that don't look dramatic from the outside, but they shape us just as deeply. These are the everyday experiences that slowly teach us who we're allowed to be in this world. These are things like being dismissed or ignored, growing up without emotional support, constant comparison or criticism, feeling like your needs were too much, walking on eggshells around a partner or a parent, never feeling chosen or prioritized. Now, these moments don't seem big at the time, but they shape the way we see ourselves, our self worth, our voice, and even our place in this world. They can lead to patterns like people pleasing, overachieving, fear of disappointing others, struggling to set boundaries, feeling invisible or not enough. I know that I've covered all my bases for how I went ahead and created patterns for myself. I'm aware of all of those in me that I've changed and still continue to do so. Excuse me. Little T trauma teaches us that we need to shrink, to stay quiet, to avoid taking up space. And that absolutely affects how we show up as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as creators. So, whether your trauma was loud or quiet, big or small, it matters. It shaped you, but you can absolutely heal them. So, how does trauma show up for entrepreneurs? Well, trauma can hide behind many things, such as fear of visibility, fear of failure, overworking, people pleasing. That one's across all boards, whether personal or business, entrepreneur or not, right? Perfectionism, self doubt, even difficulty setting boundaries within your work environment or your business. So if you've ever felt not enough, too much, or not ready, you are not alone. That's trauma talking to you, wanting to be healed. Now, within that trauma, we start creating emotional blocks that keep us stuck, right? And so there are a lot of emotional blocks that we can develop after trauma. Four common ones would be things like fear of change, self doubt and limiting beliefs, guilt and emotional baggage, fear of vulnerability. And, these blocks again don't mean that there's anything really wrong with us as, people. We're human. It just means we're human and we can completely overcome them and surpass it with time, with healing. I remember a client I had. She had the training she needed, the lived experience, and a really big heart. Her passion was to help others, but she didn't feel enough. Some trauma that created that not enough feeling. She doubted her voice, her knowledge, and whether she had the right to even guide anyone. And I'm sure we've all been there, or a lot of us have been there, not feeling like, who am I to tell anyone else how to do something? But through our work together, she was able to build emotional resilience, confidence in herself, and trust in her own story. She launched her services, she stepped into her purpose, and eventually she left her 9 to 5 to pursue her business full time. And she didn't become someone else, she didn't become someone new. She just finally became who she already was. And, after peeling the emotional blocks and the triggers and the trauma and all those things that hold us back from shining, right? So today, I'd like to go ahead and do a simple mini reset. If you guys can do it with me, whoever's joining me live or on the replay would be fine. And this is a grounding breath work. And there are a lot of different types of breath work and exercises that you can also try. Uh, Today, I'm just going to do the 4-4-6 exercise. Now, when you take these breaths, I want you to I want you to notice any kind of tension that you're holding in your shoulders, jaw, maybe your neck, maybe lower back, anywhere that you feel you're holding tension. I want you to notice it. And in your exhale, I want you to release it. Start letting it go, right? The breath is really one of the first small steps that we start using to retrain our nervous system, to regulate it, to make us feel safe and grounded and present. I think we dismiss or overlook our breath so much, but excuse me, it's important in helping us regulate and de-stress and letting go of anxiety and worry and things that start building up and creating these traumas and blockages for us. So I want you to go ahead, and if you're sitting, I'm sure, put your hands on your lap if that feels comfortable. If you want to close your eyes, you're more than welcome to. I want you to take a nice deep breath in and hold, and in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. And I want you to exhale all that tension out for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, just remember that these small actions create big shifts for us. You can do this mini reset as, excuse me, as 60 seconds of a mini reset, whether you're in your office, at home. A lot of us have children and they're amazing, they're the future, they're wonderful, but you can feel overwhelmed with them. You can feel that, work, then life, then everything is just too much. Do a mini reset, 60 seconds, maybe 4 or 5 breaths. And, if you like the box breathing or any other style of exercise breathing, you can completely do that, or stay with the 4-4-6. What I started doing, which I combine with my reset breath, is earthing or grounding, or called grounding. And you can go in your backyard if you have a backyard, or you can go to a park. Maybe you like hikes. I know Oregon. I've been to Oregon, has beautiful green mountains as opposed to here in California, which are very deserty. So any place that you enjoy walking, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to start with a lot. You can start with 5 minutes, maybe in your neighborhood. You're gonna go ahead and take off your shoes though. You take off your shoes, socks, everything. You're gonna be barefoot, and do your breathing while you're walking on the grass, the soil, the dirt. Doesn't matter. Well, no pavement. And you're gonna go ahead and walk and breathe. Walk and breathe. And be conscious of your breath. And just exhale all that tension and anxiety and stress and be present in your walking. Now, grounding has been proven to help with stress levels, with your anxiety and overwhelm, but also with inflammation in your body. We carry a lot of inflammation. Most of us are unaware of it because we're fortunate to be relatively healthy. But we have inflammation in our body from the stressors and anxiety and those overwhelms, and at the same time our food. Sometimes, we snack on things that may not be always the healthiest for us, right? Because it's comfort food, it's creating something for us. And that earthing or grounding helps with inflammation. They've actually tested it, which is amazing. So you can try, let's say, in the morning if you want to start doing a morning walk, or evenings after work, or maybe if you have more flexibility, like in an afternoon walk, or weekends, start twice a week if you want to, or every day 5 minutes, something like that, and just do your breathing and do your barefoot walking. You're going to start seeing results. You're going to start seeing how you feel and how more focused you are and how aware you are of yourself and your inner workings and all that. I started doing it and I feel amazing and I love that. So I encourage all of you to try it out. And so, just to recap what we've gone through here, uh, remember, trauma doesn't shape us, okay? I'm sorry, trauma shapes us, but it does not define us. Got myself backwards here. And emotional resilience is built. No one is ever born with it, okay? It's built. So, obviously, some of us have a bit more to go through than others, and that's okay. And you can definitely rewrite your story anytime you're ready. Anytime you're just done with what's going on, you rewrite your story how you want it to be. And you don't have to do it alone. There are tons of resources out there, therapists, counselors, coaches. There's even group therapy, there's online groups that can help you through all this, just asking questions. You don't have to figure it all out by yourself. It's not, and it's not a weakness to feel that you need other people. We're not meant to be here alone, right? And also, I want to let you know I did create a free resource gift called the Emotional Reset Starter Kit. I want to share it with anyone who joins me on a free 30-minute call. I want to, because I want to share, make sure you receive the guidance that's personal to you in regards to this reset kit. Want for you to feel grounded and aligned with your healing journey, that it matches how it can go ahead and how that reset kit can fit you, who you are and where you are in your journey. On our call, we can identify one emotional block. We can clarify what you want, map out your next step so that you feel momentum with your starter kit and with your shift, and see if working it together is a fit for you. Maybe you feel that more accountability and more help with discipline or anything else is something that you're looking for right now for this year. And on my pinned comment, you can see my 2 calendars that you can go ahead and book through so that you can get your reset starter kit for free. And you can totally do the transformational coaching, or if you're interested in thinking about holistic nutrition or wanting to find out more information with that on how it could change your lifestyle, you're more than welcome to book through there. I would also love to share that my book, The Last Matriarch, comes out April 10th. It's a mini memoir of my grief, healing, and generational transformation that brought me to where I am today. And that's also on the pinned comment. And I would love if all of you can connect with me, whether it's on my website, via email, or my social media. I've included all of those there as well. And let's stay connected. Your healing journey matters. Excuse me. And just finally, to remember that emotional resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about learning how to rise. And I would be honored to support you in that rise. So I want to thank all of you for being here today live or watching the replay. And I want to thank Jess again for creating this space for all these amazing women who have spoken already, and those who are watching. I think also amazing for taking the step to start healing and start changing whatever you want to change and be where you want to be. So thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate it, and thanks so much.